house. This is the it's the full capabilities of my brand new heavy duty equipment. This field is gonna tear these pants up, but I don't really care. A whole bunch of blades of blades of grass gonna be up in my pants. Yeah, tangents aside, I got some new stuff. Was looking at the first video I made out here in this field, and while I think the contents of what I was saying, they stand pretty effective words, if I do say so myself. They were more just, I think the purest form of like words of encouragement is just the ones that you need to hear, because even if other people don't receive it, you're doing yourself a favor by externalizing these things. Sometimes you don't realize how familiar you are with a subject or a topic until you voice it out loud, and you just get to expressing yourself, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even know I felt that deeply. You'd be surprised. Give yourself some credit. Yeah, I'm out here in this beautiful field yet again, chilling with the dead grass and the sunlight. Here to talk to you guys about a very particular subject. I think in this coming year, well, as you know, if you're watching this video around the time of it originally, being released and whatnot, you know it just happened, and you know it's continuing to happen right now. We just got into a whole new presidency, a whole new year. A lot of stuff is going down right now, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of freaking out right now. We're getting all this new information, all these new world powers coming in, and yes, that is very, very stressful. Can create a lot of dilemmas, probably gonna make a lot of drama in the world. The first thing I will say, adding on to that, is that level of drama, it's harvesting of energy. When you think about, I'll make this point. When you think about some of these higher powers, do they wake up, go about their day, go to sleep, carrying the same anxieties that we do? The answer is no. I'll go ahead and answer for you. That's not even a quiz. Rhetorical question. These people don't care the same way that we care. And I would argue that we really don't have to care. There are a lot of different entities coming into power right now. But I think the first mistake we make is assuming that there's zero possibility of us fitting within that category. I don't care about who's in what position, who's joining what offices, who's bringing what features to what little pocket society that we so happen to reside in. I'm not paying attention to that, and I don't think you should either. Pay attention within reason. Stay tuned. Don't live under a rock, but don't let the new powers and the shifting of powers, don't let the new dynamics in the world take away from the only thing that really matters, and it's the power that's coming to you. Recognizing your power as an individual. These people out here, they're at the level they're at because they're harnessing and they are sharpening their power and their resources as individuals, as entities. That's the only thing that matters. And it's about time that we stop letting the world, the political, the economic, the racial, societal dramas. It's time we stop letting these things detract from our own pursuit of self. The people who are in position already have those things figured out, for reasons I won't go into. If you look long enough on the internet, you'll find the right information from the right people. There's a reason why not everybody has an identity crisis. Some people know who they are. A lot of people know what they are. But again, what matters is that 9 times out of 10, you don't. The guy who's making this video, me, I don't. But I'm attempting to figure it out by using what I think counts as a natural ability, which is just yapping about relevant information. That's all I'm not going to say that's all I bring to the table, but to me, it's the simplest form of, hey, this was lying dormant inside you, and all you had to do was just bring that out, just express it. Put a little bit of effort into expressing it. You'd be surprised just how ready you are to take on this task. You know, a lot of people, a lot of you may have something lying dormant inside of you that is just waiting to be expressed, and all you have to do is just get to it. You'd be surprised how ready you are. But the main topic of all of this, what I'm trying to say is that the majority of your power lies behind your perception of the narrative. What you think you're capable of, what you think others are capable of, your understanding is about as conditional as it can get. All of our sciences, all of our systems of logic, they all rely upon how we currently perceive things to work. It can be hard to factor in to your understanding how many things you actually don't understand. But I think it's a fair thing to do, and I think it is a very reasonable thing to do. Sorry, I'm just eyeing like the different things happening in this field, you know. I'm not the only one out here. I mean, I'm the only one doing what I'm doing, but yeah, I just have to make sure. I'm not really making sure of anything, you know. I'm really just appreciating the cute dogs that are running around out here. But yeah, the important thing is to factor in how conditional your knowledge is, your understanding. Don't lean so hard into what you think and what you believe, because those things are dated. Those things are dated. There's a lot of things about your way of thinking that will actually age like milk someday. So there's no point in relying on it and using it as a crutch in your decision making. You have to become timeless. And in order to become timeless, you have to abandon the parts of yourself that die with old age. And, you know, with saying that, I'm not sure how much that really applies to, you know, that I just felt like wording it that way. But I mean this all to say that your perception is a very powerful thing. I think this is something I'll stress time and time again throughout my many videos that I plan on making, because it comes down to what you think is going to happen, what you think you're capable of. And that knowledge is very conditional. Where does this information come from? In a world full of technically infinite possibilities, how do you really think you have an idea of what you can do or what you can be? Where did you get that information? I am more than willing to bet that half of that information, most of that information you have, comes from your external world. An external world that ages just as rapidly, just as efficiently as you do. However, the external world is also susceptible to things that don't necessarily affect you as a person. This is a long form way of saying that half of the negative things you believe about yourself came from people who really need to have the validity of their words checked in your mind. There are a lot of absolutes in your mind that you hold that don't come from you. They came from someone else, and they're not even absolute. So why is this still an active ingredient in your system of logic? A lot of the things I believe about myself, I learned from other people's observations of me. And in order for that to be true, you know, there must be some part of me that fails to realize that their own perceptions of me are flawed, which resulted in the things they said or the things they did, which informed me of like how much of your perception of yourself is in relation to how people have treated you. But you stop right there. You don't factor in the fact that these people are just as unhealed as you are. Don't let any of this inform you about who you are. You are an infinite being in a very finite world. There is bound to be conflict, and you cannot let that be your main source of information as far as, oh, how well do I know myself? How well do I know my capabilities? You don't know that. And the people who made you feel like, you know, they know that, the people who you get your information from, they don't know you, and you don't know you either. So stop using people as frame of reference for judging yourself and how far you're going to get in any given field. If you have a passion, you owe it to yourself to pursue it, and you owe it to the world to pursue it. Selflessness is a golden currency in any society. If everybody only cared about self-preservation, even down to your own biology, you have the instinct to protect yourself. Why would a being designed to die someday anyway be wired to survive? Very interesting question. And the answer to that is, if you die immediately, you won't live long enough to preserve the species. You won't live long enough to have children. That's what it is. Of course, we care about ourselves on an individual level, but when you have fear, when you fear death and stuff, self-preservation is for society's sake. It's for your species' sake, which proves that we are, by default, selfless beings. We sacrifice to build other people up because we have collective consciousness on a default level, on a very subconscious level. We understand that we're tethered to each other in very strange ways. I bring that up to say, sorry, lose my train of thought. Sometimes I think yapping is a gift and a curse, because sometimes you end up down certain trains of thought that you didn't originally intend to go down, and now you're like, oh, wait a minute, how did that even come to mind, and much less where am I going to go from there? I mean, it is what it is. I'm not afraid of speaking my mind. If it's something somebody doesn't care for, then they're going to distance themselves from me, you know? I'm just going to keep on offering. Yes, that's where I was going. You owe it to yourself. Ooh, thank God for memory. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your environment to be your best self. Some people may look at that and say, oh, that's people-pleasing rhetoric. You owe it to your environment to be your best self. Yes, technically you do. Think about how many innovations we currently rely on. They were built by people who chose to be ambitious and bring something to society's table instead of their own table. Could you imagine if Steve Jobs, okay, I'm not gonna go down the trend of naming a person and then naming their invention, because I'm bound to get something wrong and look absolutely stupid for it. You know what I mean? But could you imagine if half of the innovations that were pitched and offered to society were made on an individual basis? If isn't Mark Zuckerberg the nigga that made Facebook? Okay, I'm just gonna assume, and if I'm wrong, I can't Google this mid video. Okay, I don't care about these things, and I clearly don't care about these people. Why do I owe them that? They don't care about me. I don't care what Mark Zuckerberg uses Facebook for, and Mark Zuckerberg doesn't care what I use his invention for. We have zero connection, as odd as that may seem. We have a connection, but it's not a conscious one. Anyway, yes, not talk about, but think about it. How many innovations we rely on in our current society that were developed for society's sake? Could you imagine if those people didn't follow those impulses? And that's exactly what they are. Instincts, impulses. We are wired to want to do something for the world. Most people. Some people just so happen to be cancers to society, and maybe in their nature to be counterproductive to society's progress. But I think that's a dangerous topic, because while we can agree that variety of people, like that variety of person, does exist, I don't think we'll ever come to an agreement about who actually counts as a member of that category. That's dangerous conversation. But anyway, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your environment to be your best self. However, your environment should not factor into your self-realization. At least it should be done within moderation. If you are at the mercy of what other people think all the time, let yourself be enjoyed by your environment, but do not be susceptible to your environment. Because what happens when you find yourself in a pool of people who are convinced that water's supposed to be yellow? I've done that before. I found myself in environments with people who were, at the time made me feel like I was crazy, and then I got a broader perspective and realized, oh wow, I just so happen to find myself in a group of 6 or 7 lunatics. And depending on your level of self-realization and your own sense of confidence, 6 or 7 lunatics is all it takes for you to make, for you to feel like you are the lunatic. How firm are you in your own beliefs? However, at the same time, don't be so rigid in your beliefs, because you see people every day who are living life the wrong way because they are just as committed to their beliefs as you are. I don't think you'll often see me rely on Bible rhetoric, but I think the key in life, find a healthy balance. Lean not onto your own understanding. If it ends up being your crutch, you trip from that one day, you fall from that high horse, and many people don't survive that drop. So be careful where you get your understanding from. And this is just all part of my long form argument about, if I'm challenging you to be careful about where you get your understanding from, is it not fair to say that not only should you apply that practice, apply that strategy going forward, but it could also be very, very helpful to you in reassessing your past? A lot of us we're not really in control of where we're at, so to speak, but we are always in control of what we're doing about it, how we feel about it. Anytime you're in the court, if you can't dribble and move further into the paint, you pivot from where you are. If you can't change what you're looking at, change how you're looking at it. That is the common strategy that has helped me in life and has gotten me by. However, backtracking a little bit, do yourself the favor of reassessing your past. Reassess how people made you feel about things. Look back because you're comprised of all of these deeper sentiments that I think I would be willing to say you don't think too often about where these beliefs came from. You just know you believe certain things. You just know you feel certain things, but you've forgotten to routinely check, where do these sentiments come from? Because most of those do not come from you. And if you trace those sentiments far back enough and actually can identify the source, assess the source. What's it worth? If the source is unstable, then why do I consider the information from that source so definitive, so true, so real? That is the key to purging yourself of trauma, at least certain types of trauma. You go through just about anything. All of this is just inhale, exhale, the internal world being affected by the external world, and then the effects of the external world onto your internal world. It changes your brain chemistry, makes you a different person. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from your choices, and now because you've learned from choices, you make different choices. And press different buttons in the vending machine, you get a Coke this time. Okay, I know that button combination gets me a Coke. Let's see what it takes to get me a Pepsi. That feedback loop between you and the universe that takes place over the course of your entire life, it's pretty fun. It's very fun. However, if you want to live a more refined life, make more conscious decisions about what buttons you're pressing, and if we're going to keep the metaphor going, I guess it is fair to say, if we're really going to honor the metaphor I was just making, the vending machine metaphor, imagine this. You were told that pressing F9 gets you a Diet Coke from this vending machine. Press F9 all the time, get a Diet Coke, get a Diet Coke, get a Diet Coke. But one day you press G9, and you also get a Diet Coke. How could that be? It wasn't a dumb metaphor until I tried to run with it for too long. You'd be surprised about how much freer you get, how much freer you feel when you start readjusting the narratives that inform you about your own idea of what reality is about, what things you have to do, if there even is such a concept as have to do's to you, because even that is subjective. There are people who just go around and sniff the roses all day, and me, based off of the kind of person I am, I like to task myself with things. To me, it's not that it sounds like a waste of time, but it sounds like a very unfocused way to carry about your existence. But again, every soul is here to consume different experiences, so truly to each their own. However, if you're the kind of person to find these kinds of videos and then find them interesting and then find them again on purpose, I'm willing to bet you're a bit like me in terms of your goals or what kind of information you find valuable. So I'm going to honor my target audience and tell you what I think. I owe it to my platform to not necessarily just spew my own beliefs, but to share my findings. That's all. We're all students in life. It's the only thing that matters to me. Maintaining a relationship with my peers. I think that would be a very interesting thing to do in my life. I think that's what I personally find important. I hope I don't go over this video and post and find my little pauses while I'm searching for a new train of thought like aggravating or annoying or whatnot. But at the same time, I'm not a paid actor. I don't have like years of Hollywood training, you know. Niggas get lost sometimes. It's not a crime. I'm out here picking at this dead grass. At first I was just picking it off my jeans, but now I'm just like yanking it from around me. I'm gonna be a mess when I get home. Set yourself free. Reassess your past and embrace your future. Your future is susceptible to change. Your past is susceptible to change. Most people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's true. It's true. While we don't have time travel technology, you know, at the ready, you can time travel in a different sense by reassessing your understanding. How well do you know your perceived events? Yeah, you were there, but you didn't have the same kind of insight that you have now. You weren't the same kind of person you were when you had those memories. So it's worth reassessing your lived experiences and seeing if you can get different insight from it now. And I'm not just talking about ruminating on things. I'm talking about actually going back and readjusting these events in your life, these points in your timeline, and what role they play in affecting and terraforming your brain chemistry. Some call that shadow work. I would say that is a technique within the school of practice that is shadow work. Meeting your past and coming up, forming different conclusions than you originally did in order to purge karma and trauma in your life, in your mind. More importantly, your mind, yes. Because your mind is responsible for most of what your life looks like. Again, that comes down to the topic of this video. What you think you're capable of, what you think all this is for, how certain things make you feel. You change your brain chemistry, you change your perception, you change your life. This is nearing 24 minutes. I'm sure I could sit out here and make a little podcast for 49-ish minutes, but I would love to check out the audio quality, because if all of this is barely legible, the crash out is going to be insane. So yeah, you guys have a beautiful day. Keep having a beautiful day. Goodbye. Not yet. I'm gonna stay a little bit longer. Nah, just kidding. I'm out of here. See ya.